Well, this is it, guys. Today marks the day that we've started our fall into a dystopian future. Except instead of shooting bows in the wild, we're shooting CEOs in the street, apparently. This episode isn't about that. There is a car bomb, though.
Top of the morning to you, ladies.
Just like with the Luigi Mangione situation, it feels like the more I wait to write this script, the more information there is to cover. So let's start with who Elon Musk is. If you don't already know of this oddly egg-shaped billionaire, and this photo isn't enough to sum it up, this man is an engineering genius who owns a car company, a social media service, a rocket ship company, a brain implant company, and is a founder of OpenAI, although he withdrew from the company in 2018. His most recent business venture? He's been appointed to lead the new Department of Government Efficiency. Elon, you're getting too old and too stupid for the memosphere. Especially after hyping the meme coin crypto Dogecoin that Elon still finds hilarious for branding almost 5 years since the Doge meme died. And almost a year since the model for the meme, Kabosu, themselves died. I'm sure if Kabosu were still alive, this is totally how they'd like to be remembered. A new government agency dedicated to cutting back on government agencies. DOGE is, as of right now, not going to be a federal executive department, which will allow them to skirt around the approval of Congress. According to this article by the Washington Times, among Doge's first targets are speculated to be reducing the funding to the United Nations, DEI efforts by agencies like the Department of Health and Human Services, and the Department of Defense. However, this article, using totally unbiased thinking and absolutely doesn't rant about what the bill should do, and also objectively unable to comprehend what a government agency is, implying that our Department of Energy should be cut for not producing a single kilowatt hour, is insane when government agencies exist to oversee. Our energy is privatized. No shit, they don't produce electricity. That's not how our country works. What they do is make sure that those private companies are safe and secure. They also help fund development of infrastructure around the country to make safe and reliable energy available to all Americans, even claiming a goal to play their part to rebuild domestic manufacturing, which sounds like a dividing political issue, but is frankly the opinion held by anyone with a functioning brain to help this country. They are also in charge of making nuclear power safe and secure, as well as providing it as a source of power to ships in the U.S. Navy. This article, that totally isn't leaning one way more than the other, says the Department of Labor does no meaningful work, which part of their job is to oversee agencies like OSHA and MSHA, whose jobs are to enforce workplace safety so people don't die, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics, whose numbers have been important for doing my own research, and countless other government agencies who all fall into fulfilling their goal to foster, promote, and develop the welfare of the wage earners, job seekers, and retirees of the United States, improve working conditions, advance opportunities for profitable employment, and assure work-related benefits and rights. The Department of Labor is an intrinsic foothold for working-class rights of the average American, like you and me, who might have suffered under the hands of employers whose only roadblocks in working you to death is what is clearly written in law. This whole Doge situation seems to be reflective of one of the original goals of Project 2025, which was to deconstruct the administrative state, which in layman's terms is when agencies work on policy making instead of Congress. And to that, I say maybe if Congress didn't have a history of being bribed, legally bribed, by companies that can't be bothered to have our best interests at heart, as well as being educated on literally anything besides polarizing politics. TikTok got banned for ties to China, even though it was proved that there was no information shared between their American and Chinese servers, as well as putting pressure on them to sell to an approved American buyer, as if that would be any less corrupt. Also, that Chinese propaganda would appear in the site, manipulated by their government, which ironically, the ban pushed users onto RedNote, where Chinese citizens were free to mingle with US citizens, and boy is that a fun story. Turns out we've been radicalized by lies about them, and that they've been radicalized by truths about us. They have high-speed rail! More on that another day, maybe, if it's still topical when I get to it. Anyway, tangent over. Our Congress is not intelligent and should not be trusted with issues like labor regulations and nuclear safety. There are people who have whole separate 4 to 8 year degrees in knowing that information. I don't want my bred, born, and raised private school poli-sci major congressman to handle the complex mathematics and preventing a nuclear meltdown across multiple plants. Next up, the car bomb. A Tesla blew up in front of Trump Tower, and frankly, it was initially unclear if this was a design flaw or a terrorist attack. But in a tweet made by Elon soon after the event, apparently finds the latter unlikely, stating that it would contain the blast better than any other commercial vehicle. He did, however, officially release later that it was likely due to fireworks or a car bomb, because the vehicle's data reported no faults at the time of explosion. However, the incident provided the public with the information that Tesla vehicles are capable of recording and saving camera footage from Tesla charging stations that Tesla has rights to see. Seemingly, the company defends this as diagnostic data. It also seems that the vehicle may have auto-locked when the car burst into flames, locking the driver inside with their car bomb. Due to this, it is unclear if this was meant to be a suicide or not, and could potentially be a safety risk for honest fire-related incidents. Third Musk clowning of the day is his harassment of the fire team, working tirelessly to quell the California fires. With no evidence or explanation, he claimed that they prioritized DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion principles, over saving lives and homes, which is a radically, frankly racist lie. Also, on recording, he seemed prepared to call the fire department chief dumb for not using local water, just for their chief to explain that local sources couldn't provide the pressure to handle the blaze at multiple locations. There are so many other factors to this as well. Elon also tweeted this about preventative measures after the flames started. Much help that does. Not to mention, the hurricane force winds in the area were fanning flames and throwing hot embers farther than preventative measures could have prevented in full. There was no stopping this blaze. And he retweeted this, which seems to point the fire as a mistake made by left-wing politicians and downplays the existence of climate change. Even though hurricane-force winds during a winter dry season causing a fire beg to differ. Fourth on my list is the visa situation. Trump and Musk have backed the H-1B visa, a visa for non-immigrant Americans to do specialized work that requires education or training, trade jobs, and college degree jobs. Elon, in this tweet, where he replies to another X user, confirms that the reason is that Americans are too retarded to train, and that no level of education can't fix how dumb Americans are. To that, I say there are several hundred autists per capita ready and willing to become geniuses in their hyperfixations if they aren't shoved into the special ed classrooms. Not to mention failures of public school curriculum. For example, my English class for all of my 8th grade year was just Nazi literature and history, while I was begging the teacher to give a lesson on my grammar and punctuation because I recognized my weakness in that field. Whole year I only got a week dedicated to actual writing in English. But I guess we might defend the Department of Education even more. Of course, this is definitely not a biased issue for Musk, seeing as he himself, according to this article, was born in South Africa and had a Canadian citizenship through his mother. He studied in America on a J-1 visa, but when he dropped out of school to pursue founding his first company, he would have lost his authorization to work. After dropping out, that would have been lost. Musk claims he upgraded to an H-1B visa and eventually finished studies. But investors in his first company almost pulled out, threatening Musk to become legal, which he did. But all the information available about it right now is very vague. He's been a big supporter of closed borders, but it's absolutely fine opening borders to hurt job prospects for American minds in skilled labor markets, according to this tweet, saying that he'd go to war on this subject in ways we can't even comprehend. Well, dear Mr. Musk, fuck you too. I have a few friends in skilled labor markets, and myself very technically being a person in a skilled labor field, who you will be directly hurting with this movement, and I would like you to know that I like affording to eat, and I think they do too. Wanting Americans to be able to find well-paying jobs in America should not be a political issue, my friend. Statements on the subject found in anecdotes of this article found that companies abuse the H-1B visa to hire cheaper and younger. There is a push to reform to make the H-1B visas more expensive than domestic hires. If that happens, either the hiring budget for foreign hires will drive more domestic hires, or they will prove with their dollar that Americans truly are retarded by nature, as Musk clearly believes. Though, even if they are better, corpos always hire cheap. Quality doesn't matter to the ones skimming every extra cent off the top of every project. A huge L for the case of our intelligence. Next, we have his Path of Exile build. He posted his character for the recently released game Path of Exile 2, and it became quickly clear that he had no prowess of the game or knowledge about his build. He has officially stated that he has hired people to boost his account and level up for him, as well as spending real money on in-game items, claiming it's the only way to beat Asian players, and that he has no intent of apologizing to the PoE2 community for making it seem like he was playing a character that was barely even his. And finally, after I'd written the script and thought nothing else was going to happen, he did this. Absolute clown of a man. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.